If you're a beginner and you have no idea how to do grid crochet, then this tutorial is perfect for you. But if you know how to do it, but you don't know how to get rid of these annoying little strings that happen when you move your yarn and change colors, then this tutorial is also for you.
So I'm going to start off by explaining to you how a grid pattern works because it can get really confusing, especially for beginners. So I found this pattern on Pinterest. I'll link it in the description box below so we can make this pattern together. So what I do is I ignore all the numbers on the side because honestly I don't know what that means. I just focus on the squares. So I start from the bottom, and I always start from the right as well. I think you can start from the top to the bottom, but I prefer doing the bottom to the top, but it doesn't really matter. So you start from the right to the left, and what you do is you follow along the first line. Each square indicates a stitch, whether it's a single crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, half double crochet, whatever it might be, that's what each square represents. So for this project, I'm going to be using single crochets. So each square is going to be one single crochet. So once you've got that down, you need to know which direction to travel. So you're going to start from over here, and then you're going to do all your single crochets until you get to the end. But you're not going to continue to start from the right, and you're not going to keep going like this, because every single round you flip your work over. So if you don't change directions, then your project is going to come out really weird. The back is going to be confused with the front, and it's going to look really bad. So you start traveling along one side, and then you start traveling across the other side, and you're going to repeat that pattern starting from right to left to left to right to right to left until you finish the whole project. And you'll see what I mean as we start going along. I don't know if I even need to say this, but when you're doing these patterns, you don't go up and down like this. I mean, there's probably a way that you could, but just stick to going from the bottom left to the right and repeating that pattern that I explained a few seconds ago. And the last thing that you need to know for this grid pattern before we start crocheting is just remember to keep track of your rows. So I use this on my laptop. You could download this, put this on a tablet, or put it on an iPad, or even print this out so you can keep track easily. So I just use this drawing tool to help me keep track of the rows. So I just mark each row that I'm on if I'm taking a long break and I want to get back to it. But yeah, just make sure that you keep track on your rows and you should be perfectly fine. The materials that I'm using today is this 100% acrylic yarn in this berry red color and this pink color. And I'm also going to be using a 4mm hook because that is what this yarn requires. And then you're going to need a pair of scissors. So before we get started with this pattern, we need to just decide what color is what. So the blue over here represents the background color, and then the pink represents the heart. So I'm going to do my heart in pink and then my background color in red. I don't understand what the numbers mean on the sides, but if you know, please comment down below so you can tell me. But I'm not sure if it's the row number because it says 49 over here and 25 over here, so I'm not sure about that. But on the bottom it makes sense to me. It's just how many chains there are, and I think each line in the box represents 5, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to start off by using my background color, which is this red, and I'm going to chain 25. So this foundation chain does not count as your first row when you're doing these grid crochet patterns. This is just to lay your foundation to make your grid, so do not mistake it as the first blue row on this pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and chain 25. So I'm actually going to crochet 26 because this pattern requires a chain 25, but whenever you need a specific number, you always chain one more as a turning chain. So I just chained 26 and I'm going to single crochet into the second stitch. So I'm going to skip this chain 26 and go straight into here. And now we have 25 chains that we work into. like this. So now the next step for me to do is do row 1. So I need to single crochet all the way along. Now that I have finished row 1, row 2 is exactly the same. All I need to do is single crochet all the way across in red, and row 3 is when you start all the color changes. So I'll get back to you once I finish row 2, and make sure to chain 1 and then start your row on every single row. I am now on the row where I need to change colors, so I'm starting from this side now, and I need to just keep single crocheting until I reach this pink dot over here. So I'm going to continue. All I need to do is 12 single crochets, I think. So I'm going to just keep going along until I change colors, and I'll teach you how to do that. I'm doing the 11th single crochet right now, so that's 11 and then 12. So I'm not going to pull the yarn through with my red yarn. I'm going to pull it through with my pink yarn. So whenever you're changing colors, you don't finish off the last stitch with the same color. You need to finish off the last stitch with the color you need to change to. Hopefully that's not too confusing to wrap your head around, but we're going to just pull this yarn back like this, and then I'm going to grab my yarn here. And I don't know how you guys change colors, but I have a tutorial on different ways of changing colors if you want to follow that before you continue with this project. But you have to make sure you know how to do that. So I'm going to get my pink yarn. This is a very fiddly process. So I'm going to put my pink yarn like this over my hook and then just pull those 2 loops through like so. And now I have changed my color. I'm going to bring my pink yarn to the back as well, where my red yarn is, so everything is on the same side. And now it says I need to do 1 single crochet here in the pink yarn. So I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, like so, pull that through, and since I only need to do 1 single crochet in pink, I'm going to pull this pink yarn to the back and then get my red yarn and then finish off the single crochet with my red yarn. Hopefully this is not too confusing, but it's actually really straightforward, and I'm just gonna pull this yarn straight through, and here we have our 1 stitch in pink. So now I just need to continue the pattern in red until I get all the way to the end. I'm now on row 4, so I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and then single crochet until I reach the next color change. So I'm starting here, so I need to do 5, 10, 11 stitches before I reach the next color stage, the color change, sorry. So I'm going to just crochet all the way along. I have 1 more single crochet to make, so I'm going to do my color change. So this is my 11th stitch, so I'm not going to finish it off with the red. Remember, we're going to change to the pink. So I'm going to just pick up the pink from the back and then finish off my single crochet like so. And now it requires me to do 3 single crochets in pink, so I'm going to go right into my next stitch and single crochet 3 times. So that's 1, 2, and then for my third one, I'm not finishing it through with the pink. I'm going to drop the pink and then drag my red yarn. Hang on, it's getting a bit tangled in the back. I'm going to drag my red yarn like this, and then I'm going to just pull the pink a little bit just to tighten it, and then now I can finish off the stitch. And all I'm required to do now is single crochet in my background color all the way along. I'm on row 5 now, and I need to change colors again, and I need to do 5 single crochets in pink. So I'm going to pick up the pink like so, and then drag it over like this to finish my red single crochet. So as you can see, we have these loose ends at the back, and that does not look very good when you're doing these types of projects. So what you're going to do now is finish off your single crochets, but as we're going along, we're going to weave in these ends by crocheting over them. So I'm going to do 5 single crochets, and as you can see, I'm doing it over this pink yarn. So that's 1, 2, and I'm going to pick up this red yarn, so like this, and that's 3, and then I'm going to pick up this yarn as well, and that is 4, and then I'm going to do 1 last single crochet in pink and just picking up the last bit of the red yarn from the previous row, and I'm going to put this pink yarn to the back and then drag over my red yarn like we've been doing all along. Hold on. It's so hard to pick up sometimes. I can't even see it properly. Okay, I've got it. And I'm going to finish off the single crochet like this. So every single row you're gonna have these loose strings, and you want to crochet over them so you don't see them in the finished project. And I'll teach you how to tuck this one in, and that was from our color change, but that's slightly different to how we're doing it with these strands. So I'm going to continue until I reach the end, and all I need to do now is just single crochet the background color, and this process is very, very repetitive. So I'm going to come back to you when I'm halfway done, and I'm going to show you what the back looks like after I've weaved in and crocheted over all of these little strings. I forgot to mention, don't forget to chain 1 as you start your new round, and then you can continue crocheting, because that just helps you turn your work properly and it just comes out really, really neat along the edges. I'm on row 13, sorry, and I'm just weaving over my ends. As you can see, I'm just crocheting over the red that I have to drag to the other side whenever I need to use it. And let me just finish single crocheting here, and I'm going to show you what the back looks like so far. Let me just finish off. Alright, so this is what the back looks like. Can you see how neat this is? I don't have any strings of yarn that indicated me traveling the yarn to the other side. And this is what the front looks like as well. So the back looks almost as equally good as the front, and it's coming along really nicely. So I'm going to continue, and then I'll do another follow-up really soon. I'm now on the last row, on row 25, and all I need to do is single crochet all the way across in the background color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then just clear up any loose ends that I might have. So I chained 1, and now I'm going to go ahead and just single crochet all the way across the top. And I love rounds when you're doing these grid patterns where you don't have any more color changes to do, and it's a lot quicker to finish your project when you're just using one color. Once you reach the end of the row, we're just going to put in our last single crochet, and I'm going to chain 1 and then fasten off. So I'm just going to leave a little bit of a tail of yarn, and then grab my pair of scissors, cut it off, and then pull that straight through. And that is the design complete. To make it a bit neater, I'm just going to cut off all of the loose tails You can either weave it in with a crochet hook, or you can use a tapestry needle to weave it in. But if you pull the knot tight enough, it should be fine for you just to cut it because it won't unravel. And then lastly, we have this little tail at the back from where we put in the pink initially. So I'm just gonna use my crochet hook to weave it in. Again, you can use a sewing needle, but I don't have one. So I'm just gonna weave it in until it's in a comfortable position so it doesn't unravel, and so I can just cut it straight off. So I'm gonna put it into one more stitch. These stitches are really tight, so bear with me. Okay. Now I'm just gonna pull it straight through like this. Pull it as tight as I can, and I'm going to cut it really close to the end. And this is the square complete. You see how neat it is, and it came out really nice. And this is what the back looks like as well, equally as neat as the front without all those little loose ends. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. And last night I made a cherry one, and I love the look of this cherry one. And the back is also neat using the same method that I did. So you can make any design as long as you get down the basics of what I taught in this video. You can make any grid crochet pattern. Alright, so that is the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this tutorial was really easy for you to follow along. And as always, I will see you in the next one.